What's good, y'all? It's Solution back at it again with another Mental Gym video in which I give you guys frameworks you can use to become extremely successful and achieve all the goals that you are after. So let's get right into it. So today I want to talk about flow state, which is a very interesting topic that a lot of guys talk about. Achieving flow state, being in flow state. And why do people love flow state so much? Because it's a state of optimal performance. What I mean by this is you're in a state where your instincts are flowing out of you naturally and solving the task at hand almost effortlessly, because it's like it feels effortless. You're just not really doing anything. It's just like everything is just happening as it should. You're forgetting everything else. There's nothing distracting you. You're just doing exactly what you need to be doing. And usually when you achieve flow state, it's because the task at hand is not so challenging that you feel nervous or scared, but it's also not so boring and unstimulating that you can't even really focus or really immerse your instincts into it, right? So that made me actually think and realize from my own personal research and experience is that you can achieve flow state not only in just those little instances, because many of us, when we've achieved or felt flow state, it's like when we're doing one small little particular task, like we're playing a sport or we're playing a video game, just in little instances. Whereas I realized you can actually achieve flow state over the long term. Not like as deeply focused and immersed as those little tasks, but over a wider scale in your entire life. And what that would mean is that means for the long term, you could be operating in optimal performance, meaning your life can be set up in a way where you're performing optimally, right? So that's where we get into the exercise for how you're going to be able to do this in your own life. And for the definition that I came up with for it is to be fully focused on your purpose, which allows you to achieve your goals, right? And for the first part of this exercise or this mental exercise you're going to be able to use to achieve your long-term flow state or your life flow state is purpose, right? Like plus, and I'll get into the other part in a second, but purpose. So I've previously made a purpose framework video, which you should 100% go check out. If you do not know what your purpose is, or you want to make sure you have your defined, strong purpose, then you should 100% go check out that video. And I'll link it down in the description, of course. But essentially what purpose is, it's the reason why you're alive and able to achieve your goals. Like why you do what you do, why you want to achieve your goals, why you want to be successful, because that is why you're here. What is the reason behind that, right? And it needs to be a very strong desire. Like it needs to be very strong. You can't just be like, well, my purpose is to get rich. It's like, yeah, that sounds cool, but if you think about it, then why aren't you taking extreme action and steps to get rich? Probably because the reason isn't that deep. It's a shallow reason, right? It might actually be a reason, but the people who actually have that reason are taking immediate and extreme actions to make sure they're living a life aligned with that purpose. But if you say, oh, I just want to be rich, it's like, or I just want to be happy. Well, it's like you're not taking extreme action for these things. So clearly it might not be a deep reason for you. So that's why 100% you should go check out my purpose video so you can make sure the reason that you have is very strong, right? But it's essentially important for achieving your life flow state, because if you have this strong urge, if you have this clarity, right, then you can take your focus, which is your attention, and you have this, like, basically you have this ball of energy to focus, right? And if you have a purpose, a reason for living, you can take this big ball of energy, of focus, and apply it, right? And that's where we get into the next part of the exercise, which is prioritize, right? Because once you have your purpose, right? Once you have your strong reason as to why you want to achieve your goals or be successful, you can then take your focus, which is your attention. You have your strong purpose, your strong urge and instinct to live this certain way, and then prioritize it. And by prioritize it, I mean what you do. So what you do actions, right? So what you choose to do, right, will be determined by your purpose. And because using your purpose as the catalyst for what you're choosing to do, you will be fully immersed in the action because there's a reason as to why you're doing what you're doing. Many of us know what it feels like to do a task that we don't care about or don't give a fuck about. Like, we don't give a fuck about it. We don't try hard. We don't really do as good as we possibly could. We don't put that much effort in because there's no reason. We don't have a strong enough reason as to why we're doing this. But when you have your purpose, right, you can then be particular about what task you choose to do. So I'll take me for example to make this even simpler for you guys to understand. My purpose is growth. I want to grow freely, without jurisdiction, without rules. I just want to be able to grow and improve myself. Cool. So that is my strong, deep desire and purpose. That's where I have the strongest urge because I just really want to grow and get stronger and get smarter, have more knowledge. I just want to grow. It's so strong. So now I have this really strong desire, right? And I have my focus, which is the natural ability we have to pay attention to things. So I have this focus and I have this urge. So I'm like, I have this urge and focus. I need to put it somewhere. So what I've decided to prioritize, for example, is YouTube and making these videos for y'all, right? Because these videos help me grow, right? And they help me grow in the sense that if I'm able to make these frameworks, understand them myself, and then explain them to y'all, and you guys are able to understand them, that means I truly understand it. And what I mean by understanding, I don't mean do I understand, do I not understand? I mean how deeply do I understand? Like, how deep is my understanding? Just like when we talk about you achieving a certain skill, right? It's not about can you shoot a three or can you not shoot a three. It's about how well can you shoot a three. How much depth of skill do you have in shooting threes? So by making these videos day in, day out, I am making myself smarter because I'm understanding these things more and I can then apply them even deeper to my own life, which would make me better and would be living up to my purpose, which is growth. So in the same way for you, you need to conceptualize once you have your purpose, bruh, you can choose to do particular things that live up to that purpose, right? And it will come to you naturally. For me right now, I'm in a flow state in my life, basically, because I'm doing exactly what I'm quote unquote supposed to be doing. I'm living up to my purpose. So this is all coming naturally, making these videos, talking about these frameworks. It comes out of me freely, naturally, because it's my purpose. There's a reason to why I'm doing it, and there's a strong urge to grow. And because of that, when I'm doing a task that I know will help me serve that purpose, the energy and the focus and the attention, the consistency, the discipline flows naturally. It's like a natural flow. It's easy to understand. And that's what makes it like all so cool. Like, it just comes out of you naturally. You don't even really have to conceptualize or think about it almost. But that all starts when you actually have a strong purpose. When you have that strong purpose, that's where the energy will come from. That's where the focus and attention and discipline will come from. And then you just prioritize the task accordingly. And by prioritize, I mean only do tasks that serve that purpose. Meaning you just don't do things that do not serve your purpose. Meaning I will not do something that doesn't help me grow. For me, for example, I will just avoid that. I'm like, is that going to help me grow? Yes? All right, cool. I can do that. Or I can add it into my schedule somehow, right? But if I'm like, is this going to help me grow? And I'm like, no, I'll ignore it. It doesn't matter. It's not serving my purpose. I'm not going to have a natural energy, focus, or discipline or consistency towards it, right? And that's the point that you guys need to make sure that you get to, right? You figure out what your purpose is, right? Once you have this purpose, you then know, okay, let's say for you too, your purpose is growth. You're like, okay, what tasks do I prioritize that are going to help me grow, right? And let me do those things. Those are the things I'm going to do, because then you will reach a natural flow state. And then think about it. It's not like you only do that task once, right? You do it over the long term, over years. Like, I'm going to be making these videos and be growing for years. And time is just going to be flying by. I'm not going to be paying attention to anything that could potentially distract me or does not serve my purpose. So everything is just happening naturally. And because of that, I am reaching optimal performance. Meaning I'm optimal for being able to achieve my goals and achieve the success that I want to achieve, which is where you guys want to get to. When you have that purpose and you prioritize the tasks that serve that purpose, you will reach your optimal performance. You will reach your flow state. Like in those small little instances, when you were playing that video game or you were playing that sport or whatever else task you were doing, and things were just flowing out of you, right? It felt amazing. Everything else that didn't matter and that could potentially distract you just wasn't even there, bruh. You were just doing what you were doing. It felt natural, it felt nice. And if you're constantly in that flow state, you will be at your best and you will achieve goals at your best. You will achieve your success at your best, right? Because that's why everybody loves flow state, for optimal performance. And if you do this, you can be optimized for performance in your entire life, which would be a beautiful thing to think about. That's why for me right now, I feel like I'm in optimal performance all the time because I have my purpose and I'm prioritizing for it, right? And that's why it's so important that you guys go check out my purpose video, because I'm telling you, when you have your purpose, it makes the focus, the discipline, the patience, the adaptability, all these other framework videos that I've made much easier to master. Like it's way easier to master because there's a strong urge. There's a clear goal. I want to grow, right? And when it's that clear, when you have that much clarity about what you are doing with your life, everything else becomes easier to master that can serve that purpose. But that energy needs to come here because we know without this purpose, which you have already probably experienced, if you do not have a purpose, it's hard to prioritize. You're aimless. You don't know what you're doing. You're doing shit that you don't even really like doing. You don't know why you're doing it. You're just doing it because it's just something to do. It just takes up the time, right? But that's useless, bruh, especially for achieving your success and the goals you want. You need to know why you're doing what you are doing. So yeah, so that's pretty much my little flow state framework. I just thought this was extremely interesting. I've been thinking about this for a while. It's like flow state is so nice in those particular small instances because like we're fully immersed and it's like we're optimally performing. But I started to realize you can be like that over the long term, right? Because think about it, in those short-term situations, it's like this, just smaller. Like you have your purpose, let's say score the goal. Let's say you're a striker in soccer. Your purpose is score the goal. So what do? On the field, you are prioritizing for actions. Your do or your actions are actions that lead to that shooting, right? Getting into the position of shooting, making the run so somebody can pass you the ball, calling for the ball, anticipating where the ball might go. Like you start knowing exactly what you need to do because you have a clear goal, a clear reason as to why you're doing what you're doing and why you're on this field, which is scoring the goal. So you can do this from a life perspective the same way. When you have your purpose, your reason for being alive and achieving goals. For example, for me, for growth, I want to grow. I'm like, boom, I know that's my strongest urge. That's what I love doing the most. That's where I feel the most alive, when I'm growing, when I'm learning, when I'm getting smarter, faster, stronger, right? I can make sure all of my actions serve that. Is this helping me grow? Yes. All right, I'm doing that shit. Is this not helping me grow? All right, fuck off, get out the way. And then over months, years, decades, I am in a flow. I'm just achieving all the goals I want to achieve, achieving all the success I want to achieve. It just feels amazing. Like I'm optimally performing. Because one thing that I've always thought since I was a kid, and I've always realized since I was a kid, and I'm so happy that it's so real for me now that I'm older, is that people are at their best when they're doing what they want to be doing. When someone is doing what they want to be doing, when somebody is living their purpose, that is when they're at their best. You cannot perform more optimally as a human being than when you have a designated purpose, a reason for why you're here. You cannot perform any higher than that. And that's what makes all this so important in reaching flow state. Sorry, I kind of babbled on a little bit more than I wanted to, but it's just so important and I just really love all this shit and it's just generally lit. So please give me feedback on that. Did that make sense? Are you going to be able to reach your flow state and use this mental exercise? Or did this not make sense at all? Or was this stupid? And you're like, man, fuck that. Solution, you're dumb. Whichever works, drop the feedback below. And also, please like the video, boost this in algorithm so more guys can see this. If you liked it, more guys can see this, reach their flow state, discover their purpose and make sure they're prioritizing the right tasks for filling that purpose. Also, let me add real quick, I also made a prioritization video, which I'll also link down in the description. If maybe you're watching this video and you're like, dude, I just need to know how to fucking prioritize myself. It's like, okay, cool. Go check that video out, of course. So yeah, and I guess with that being said, I will catch you guys in the next Mental Gym video. Peace.